Welcome back. That scares me every time I do.
It's always too loud.
It's in the headphones.
Yeah.
Today, we have a special guest on the show. As always, I guess every guest is special, but Amy Puchini
Kind of makes them less special.
is on here. Hey, if everyone's super, no one is. Okay?
Yeah, that's right. Famous line.
Anyways, yeah, so back to the guest. She is a actually a certified personal trainer, also a holistic health coach. So she does nutrition, but like holistically, so not just about XYZ numbers for food, but like also things that impact your health in general, like spending time with family, all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Holistic health.
Yes.
And there's a definition for you. But also an actress / model. She's been modeling for like 15 years, I think she said. 10 years?
10,
okay.
yes.
Sorry, I'm making up numbers. 10 years. So she's been
since birth.
She's been in the game for a while. Recently started acting and has had some success, you know, like she's been on national commercials and she's had a few gigs here and there. So we kind of get her perspective on one, like how that even happened. And it was a pretty interesting story as to how that came about. Obviously, everybody's situation is different, but she just explains about what happened with her. Also, we spoke about a variety of things, one of which was actually the Barbie movie and Oppenheimer, oddly enough. Both
Yeah, we
of
spent
them.
about like a good 15, 20 minutes on Barbie movie, actually.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting because
fun.
obviously she's a woman and we are not. And so it's good to just kind of see her perspective. She wanted our perspective on the movie.
Yeah, she was really curious about it. She was like, and when she asked it, you could tell she had that little curious thought in her eye, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure she thought
She was expecting me to be like, that fucking movie sucked.
Yeah, and actually, you know,
I'm a man.
I feel like we had a good conversation. Yeah.
You walked into the Mojo Dojo Casa
Yeah,
house.
exactly. Who are you talking to right now? And basically, it ended up being pretty good conversation. You know, it's oddly enough, we've had a lot of conversations about this movie just like off camera. So
Yeah, it's true.
it was good to just kind of talk about it and kind of both of our thoughts and her thoughts as well as to why people reacted a certain way that they did. And also just our thoughts about the movie in general, what it says.
Blah, blah, blah.
We talked about the difference between modeling and acting and ended with a health and fitness discussion and kind of how they all relate, and also just like in general, like if you want to do something, any profession, trade, even physical fitness, you know, just the fact that things take work. And so I'm going to just stop it here because it's the longest intro we've ever done ever.
Yeah, it's true.
But anyways, that's basically the spark notes for the whole conversation we just had. But you should definitely listen to it because it's really good. So anyways,
Woo!
See you later. Enjoy.
So we're here, Amy Puchini. Thank you so much for showing up, coming on the pod. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and I'm glad for you to be here too. And also, feel free. You can move with the mic.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
In case I got to get up and dance.
Yeah. In case you gotta move around a little bit.
Yeah.
Feel free to keep it close to you.
Okay.
But it's great to have you. Big reason why I wanted you on is because you are another like actor, model, but also fitness person. So it's like you're balancing all three of those things. And there's a lot that I thought I could talk to you about.
Yeah.
So one of them being, how did you even come to the idea like, all right, it's time to do modeling or acting or any of it?
Well, I started modeling like 10 years ago. So it was a while ago.
Oh, wow.
I think I just always I was a kid and I loved like taking pictures and stuff and just being silly and doing like dub smash kind of things. And I think I just always liked doing stupid stuff like that. So I was at the Guilford Fair and there was a booth for JC. And I called my mom. I was like, can I sign up, please? It's just like for information. Like, please. She was like, okay. And so then 10 years later, I was still with JC, signed and everything. And so I just genuinely enjoyed it. And I don't think because I don't do it for like the money or the fame, especially like I think like 15 or 16 when I started. So I was like just doing it because I enjoyed it. And I continued to do it because I enjoy it. Like I don't put any pressure behind it. I'm just like, cool, let me do this. Let me do that. See what comes. Like whatever. I don't put pressure behind it. So just like enjoy it. And then I decided acting like 2-3 years ago, probably 2. And I think I enjoy that a lot more.
Yeah.
I think I just realized how much, it's the same industry, but it's a different type of work. And I think I enjoy being able to do a range of emotion, whether it's with dialogue or not. I don't know. There's just something about it. I mean, you get it.
Yeah, 100%.
There's something about it that's just so much more fun.
I had a very similar experience where it's like I started like dabbled with the modeling, although less time. You've definitely been in the modeling world a lot longer. But I remember like I got like a little bit of the acting bug where I had to go in and do a monologue. And once I did that, I was like, oh no, like This is a lot more fun because I think maybe we share this is that, you get to really express yourself, even if it's through a character or something. There's something about like sort of the motions of it. And a lot of like modeling stuff is like either posing or like really like, I don't want to say fake, but like, it's like a frozen emotion.
Yeah. And I feel like models who are really successful and they do understand that range of the art of modeling, they would probably disagree, right? I think you can find a lot of emotion and range and like creativity through that, but I think you just find it in a different way in acting and really finding people and who they are from the root and how they are expressing their emotions and how they are who they are and why they act the way they do. And it's so interesting to get into that and then put yourself into those shoes and really just like put your own spin on it and showcase that so other people can see it. It's just like, I don't know, it's so fun.
Yeah, you almost kind of have to be like an anthropologist a bit. Like you have to like want to like to study people, and that, I guess to your point about the whole, like when I say that like modeling, at least for me, like I didn't find as much expression, like that is a good point, is like someone who's like a dedicated model does find that expression through their modeling.
Yeah.
And maybe the acting side is like a little bit like, maybe that's too much. Maybe it's like, I'd rather have more control in this one setting.
Yeah. I think they find the models find their art a little bit more in the clothing, I would say, rather than like the poses help that expression. But I think they find it originally through the clothing and the style, which I've never been. I mean, I'm sitting here in athletic shorts from Walmart and a hoodie I got from Goodwill. So I don't think that's like exactly my passion or anything, but I enjoy the art of it and like meeting new people and just like I enjoy the experience and the journey of doing it rather than like expressing this outfit or something. But like I can do all that stuff that I just said in acting a lot more, and I just think it's a lot more fun. Do you, Adam? Do you do this industry at all?
I mean, like
he's been dabbling.
Yeah,
I've been trying to convert him slowly because he's got the face for it, and he's very funny.
I'm more of like a spaz, and like I would say like whenever we do stuff more on like the writing side of things or like ideas or like shot angles, stuff like that, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I just like I don't know if I have like it's kind of awkward. You know what I mean? Like I don't mind like whatever making funny videos with my friends and stuff, but I can't take myself serious enough to do like some of the other stuff and whatever. Maybe it's like a me thing, like I got to go work on or whatever. But I just don't you know what I mean? It's just it is what it is. But it's like a ton of fun to do, and I guess you do have a lot more options though in terms of like acting versus modeling, because like you said, it's like either you're basically I don't want to like minimize this to you're a mannequin for the clothing, but like you have to do a good job at that. But also, there's some people where like you could literally like just like I don't even know, like throw spaghetti at them and take a picture and it like looks good. You know what I mean? It's like you can,
I'm like amazed at those.
Yeah, it's like you can wear anything and it's like, well, if you put this on a regular person, it's not going to look good. But this person, like, you know what I mean? So it's weird. It's like
I always say like males in particular are the furniture of the fashion modeling world, because that's what it is. Like you get there as if you're like doing even like high fashion and stuff, what's the guy doing? He's just being sat on by a girl.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
True. He's like just the assistant.
He's the furniture.
Yeah.
He's always the furniture in the situation.
That's hilarious. Yeah. And I mean, like, if like you see modeling and acting that way, or like you're awkward or uncomfortable in front of it, like there's still, as you know, and like there's so many things you could do still in the industry if you enjoy it. Like this is technically part of the industry, right? Just doing podcasts and stuff. It's like it's entertainment in some sense. So whether you're like doing this or you're behind the camera during a shoot or filming or something, like it's still part of the industry. Is like you obviously just have to follow what you like and like your passion, your purpose for it.
Definitely.
If you don't like it at all, just throw it.
I mean, I like tend
on the
to
writing
lean more
part.
on the I tend to like, and then certain things like
angles and composition.
Like if I write something, then and like I know I could do a part or whatever, like or I want it done a certain way, like I would do it. But I just like more, I guess, like comedy sketch, like kind of like something that's very serious and then has like some ridiculous thing that happens.
Did you see that Sassy Balls commercial with Harvey?
That was so funny.
So he helped with a lot of the writing part.
Oh, really? Good for you.
Like because Adam, I think, was the first guy that ever taught me the word brevity. because I didn't even know it before you said it.
yeah.
And
Wait,
I was
do
like,
I know what it is?
brevity is just like the important, like shortness being. I mean, you want to define
like
it?
brevity is like a derivative of the word brief, right? It's like just keeping something short, like concise. You know what I mean? Like especially with, I feel like with Instagram content and whatnot, it's like it's kind of got to be quick.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of lines that were either changed or removed because it was just
Shortened.
unnecessary. Said the same thing twice, something like that.
Or it just had more impact when it was less words.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Because you could say the same thing.
tell me how, that line, which is just 3 words, was initially like a whole sentence.
Yeah.
And Adam was like, I think you got to get rid of those other words. And when he did, and then you see the final product, you're like, oh, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, but sometimes you don't know until someone else tells you. And
So you have that
Adam's really good at that.
vision. You have the
Yeah,
vision.
exactly.
And like with like to his like point about brevity when he taught me the word and I forgot the definition, but I understand how to use it. The point being is that like you see a lot of Instagram videos where like they had an idea and it was funny, but it just went on for 40 seconds too long.
Yeah.
And it's like if they just had kept that idea to like 30 seconds and didn't kind of beat the joke to death, then it would have been a great video. And so a lot of times if I do have like some sort of idea for something, I'll bring it up to Adam and then we like take something that's like maybe, you know, a minute and a half and bring it back down to 50 seconds. And all of a sudden it's way snappier.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So actually, I want, now that we're kind of on that topic, and if you don't want the podcast to go this way, let me know. But like, I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on Barbie and Oppenheimer then.
Oh.
If you've seen them yet.
So you haven't seen Oppenheimer,
I haven't
right?
seen Oppenheimer.
You've seen Barbie,
I have
though.
seen Barbie.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
They did I think they did a great job on both.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
they're different, and I'm really curious what you guys like. Start with Barbie because you've seen it.
Well,
Like,
I'm trying to like Oppenheimer. I'm trying to like prepare an evening so that I can like be sad and sit in the theater for a while.
For
So
3
actually,
hours.
I think I'm gonna go this week, and like my
Good.
dad wants to go see it, so I'm like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, you got to go see it with your pops.
Yeah.
He'll
make
love
a
it.
plan.
And also, like, you know, like I went to go see it and get tickets like maybe the night before I went to see it, or even the same day, just way early in the morning. And there was just no tickets.
Yeah.
So every time I've gone to see it, it's been like, oh, last minute thought. And I'm like, well, we're not going to get tickets. Even though it's been out for a few weeks now, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's been out for a little bit.
So, but I actually liked the Barbie movie. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, like there was like a few sections or whatever that I thought in general it was good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Why?
I'm curious because you're smiling so much, what your thoughts are on it.
Yeah.
Overall, my whole view of the movie is that there are so many moments of fun, especially surrounding Ryan Gosling's character. Like, so you've seen the movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay, when he was like, oh, when I found out the patriarchy wasn't about horses, I was pretty much done.
Yeah.
That's a funny
Yeah.
line. That's a legit funny line. And like the Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Yeah.
Like
hilarious.
there's so much fun to be had in the movie that if there was a part, I view it much like stand-up. I can like a whole special as stand-up, and then there's like 1 or 2 jokes where I'm like, not for me.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt about this movie, where there's a few parts where I was like, this isn't for me. But it's
Yeah.
for somebody else, so cool. Otherwise, it was fun, and if you view everything as a big giant joke, which I think it is.
It's definitely a lot more like sad than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I
I
walked
didn't
in-
expect it to go in the direction it did.
Yeah.
But
Margot Robbie cried a lot in that movie.
Like a lot.
Like
And
a
I was
lot.
like,
Lot of
and I
crying
feel
scenes.
like it was like the beginning, like, you know, everything was like, yeah, whatever, you know, like she was getting like floating everywhere and this and that. But it only really takes like 5-10 minutes into the movie before it just gets like
everything
really
changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like this is.
You guys ever thought about death?
The
Death
rest
and dying?
Yeah, that was like
It's
the
like,
rest of the movie though.
Yeah.
Got it. But then I'm also like, what are you going to do in a Barbie movie if you don't make it like, it's got to have a story. It's got to go somewhere. Otherwise, if you make Barbie really like the toy and Barbie, like, what are they going to do?
Yeah,
I
Like,
know.
just play around
a
all
toy.
day. Like, that's about it. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
they had to do something with
Yeah.
it. But
What did you think?
I asked because all I've heard is that guys hate it and girls love it because of the message that is being pushed quite a bit during it.
Yes. I think if you're a guy and you take everything at just face value, or you're trying to dissect too much into it, like, oh, all the guys are dumb and you forget that like the location setting is a Barbie doll house, and you have to
Yeah.
remember that each of the Barbies are representative of a real Barbie in the real world somewhere
Yeah.
else, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
theory of the movie. Ken is forgotten about by every girl. And that's
Because it's
just
Barbie.
that's the reality. Is like, you know, if a girl had Ken was a side character.
Yeah.
Ken was forgotten about. And even Ryan Gosling hinted to that in interviews. And so if you ever thought like, oh, they're portraying men in this way, it's like, yes and no. Yes to like for example, Mattel being all male, like dominated,
Yeah.
but in reality, like it's actually like a woman is the head, a woman created the company, a woman created Barbie. Like women are actually kind of are very present in that company.
Yeah.
But they do that for in my opinion, for comedic effect.
Yeah, you
like,
put Will Ferrell in the as the
And
head of
he
the board.
smashed it.
So
He was so good.
And like, you know, I'm sure like that's the case for a lot of
for a
these
lot of
companies,
places.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I
But,
get the sentiment. And like, but I see why guys are kind of like first react like, nah, you know? But, and like, I do think it is fair though to say that if it was reversed, if it was a movie with the same sentiment, but it was like all guy, girl on the sidelines, I think you probably would see a pretty big outrage from women. So I think men are just doing the same thing. They're just outraging because they're not feeling like, you know, I'm a hardworking man and I would never approach a woman like that on the street. And like, you know, because like Barbie's in what is it, Los Angeles for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And some construction worker's like, hey, baby, nice titties. And it's like, whoa, is this how Los Angeles really is? You know, I don't know.
What's funny is that just happened to me like right after I saw the Barbie movie. I was in New York and a group of construction workers just whistled at my sister and I. I was like,
hey, there it is. And so there lies the ignorance of the male experience on the female experience.
Well, it's definitely, and it's one of those things where it's like, obviously it happens. Like, did they play it up for the movie where like literally every person they walked by had something to say? Like, yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like like, I don't know. I wasn't really like upset about it because I was like, okay, well, like I don't do that and my friends don't do that. But every girl I know has like a story where something like this happened.
Yeah.
So I was just like, all right, like there were certain things where like, even like the monologue at the end, I was like, it's not for me. Like, I don't relate to this at all. It's just like for the girls watching the movie, sure.
It's like,
so I wasn't upset about it. I was just like, okay, like, this isn't for me. I don't relate to this, but whatever.
I guess like that's the thing too, is like, you know, if I'm listening to like, you know, again, it's supposed to be a comedy. So a lot of things are played up on purpose. So it's like when I see that and I don't think like, what's the director's name? Greta whatever?
Gerwin?
Like, Gerwin?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think she views all men as dopes and pieces of trash. I don't think that's the takeaway from the movie. I think the takeaway is it's a dollhouse with a bunch of male dolls that in reality, if a girl gets a Ken's on the side. Oh, I just hit your camera. There we go. We're good. But you know, Ken's on the side and she's forgotten about. And like, you know, she's always playing with the Barbies. And that's why Ken doesn't get invited to the ending little part or like the nighttime girl sleepover because the girl wouldn't do that. It would be all the girls playing in the Barbie house.
That's the thing too, is it wasn't even like, you know, like it was like Barbie Land was like, if you're like a 5-year-old girl playing with Barbies, this is the perfect world. You know what I mean? It's not like a grown adult woman's fantasy land. It's like a child's fantasy land.
Yeah, which is why
the point of like why they were all made, like all the different Barbies, is so that little girls could grow up, could play with these Barbies and be like, I could be this and I could be that. That like that's what it's literally explained in the movie. Yeah. And so like that's the point, and like that is Barbie. Like what you said is like it's Barbie's dream house, and like it's all Barbie. Like it's named the girl for a reason.
Yes.
So it's like, but I think they pushed it a whole lot at the end and like those ending scenes, like what they were trying to get at.
Yeah,
but in
agreed.
general is like they were trying to say that is what it's like in the real world now, which is why they wouldn't really make a movie of it's like male dominated and like literally everything reversed because like that's what it is right now. And whether like, I know you guys wouldn't do stuff like that. That's like put in the movie. And like, I don't think they're like, oh, all guys are like this, but it's like that monologue that mom had from the real world. It's like, that is true. Like a lot of females have to go through that. So like obviously the females relate. And the guys don't because they're not usually in that position. And a lot of guys are in outrage because I think they deep down know that this is kind of the world that we're in. Even if they may or may not do it, they kind of know that that's the world we're in, and they don't want to necessarily face that or admit it because they're like, oh, I don't do that or something, or they don't want to think that they do. So I think that's what makes it hard.
There was also a missed part that I think maybe is going over some of the both extreme sides of things. But if you remember that scene in the movie where Ken's like, oh, men can just do whatever they want. Yeah. And he walks into a doctor's office like, can I be a doctor? And they're like, well, do you have a medical degree? And it's like, no. So it's like, just because you are a man doesn't mean you just get to automatically get to positions of greatness.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Which they mention that. So it's like, okay, they do kind of tip a hat to the guys and say, hey, if you're a successful man and you've earned your right to be at where you are, you've earned it. You didn't just get it because you're a guy.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that.
So
yeah, it's kind of, I feel like people like also saw almost as like, oh yeah, this is like the perfect woman's world versus like the perfect man's world. I'm like, well, no, this isn't like the dream world for men. It's just the real world. Like there's tons of shitty parts about it. And it's like the whole ending monologue was like relatable for women, but there's a whole monologue for men that is just different problems, right? Like that exists in some other like movie. You know what I mean?
It's just that like women would also not. They wouldn't be like, what the fuck is this about?
And it's just like and it's not like neither is like easier or harder. It's just different problems. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't relate to any of the problems she was talking about, but I'm sure tons of women have like similar anxieties around things that she mentioned. And like, it's just, and again, it's just like we just encounter different problems. So like the guy's version of that would just sound very different, but there is a monologue that exists out there that is the same for men, right?
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I wasn't pissed about it. I was like, yeah, I'm sure every single girl has experienced some of this in their life.
And like, I think that's important is like, people should stop getting so angry that like it's this way or that way in the movie. It's like it's a really fucking can I swear on this?
Yeah.
It's a really fucking funny movie.
Oh god damn it. We gotta restart it.
No.
On Instagram it'll bleep it. But
yeah,
that's
perfect. No, it's just a really funny movie and it gives an ode to like Barbie, which is very classic in a lot of girls' lives.
And a hard thing to accomplish. Like make an entertaining Barbie movie.
Yeah, and accurate and stuff. So they did a fabulous job. The costumes, the production, it was all fabulous.
It is weird because it's very original if you think about it. Because like, I mean, there's no story to Barbie. It's like whatever the person playing with it decides the story is. So like they kind of did write an entire. It's more of like an original movie. I feel like you don't see a lot of that nowadays. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like as long as the guys watching it and the girls watching it take like the messages that they do put through it, as long as they see it, just to be able to see it from the other person's side, like I think that's all that matters. Like laugh at it, think it's a good production, and just maybe be a little more eye open to the other end. But like you don't need to get pissed about.
I think the biggest mistake people can make is taking it too seriously, because at the end of the day, it's literally a comedy.
It's a comedy.
I mean, I literally know guys that like, or like girls whose like significant others were like, I'm not going to see that movie, and I was just like, okay.
yeah,
who cares?
Like, show me where the movie hurt you,
Yeah, exactly. It's stupid.
And for me too, this is such like a funny thing, but like I can watch Ryan Gosling do anything. I've always said like I could watch a movie where like the scene is he cooks dinner and he has to put away the dishes in the dishwasher, and I'll sit there like, yeah, you see this guy's acting choices? You see how he put that dish away?
Yeah.
Like that's me every time I see him on screen.
Yeah.
But so I get excited anytime he's in anything. But
that's something that we can like also watch movies or shows or whatever and picture the acting as well.
Yes.
Like, we're not just watching it.
Yeah.
We're watching it for the acting and the production and like how people choose things.
Is there something recently, like as an actress, that like has sort of like, I mean, I know we were talking about Oppenheimer, so I don't know if that hits you at all, but like, I know also you asked about Barbenheimer, and like, I haven't really commented on Oppenheimer, but I liked it. It was great. I don't want to spoil anything for him.
Yeah, no.
But it was really good and I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job.
Yeah. But has there been a movie recently as an actress that you've seen like, oh wow, that was like, that's some good stuff?
I feel like it's bad as an actress to be like, I don't watch movies very often, but I don't.
Okay.
Because I'm usually working on myself and everything that I do that I usually don't. Like, I'm waiting for the end of the night to be like, have a quick like 20-minute show sitcom to like, and then fall asleep to like get my brain off.
So what is that? What is that for you?
Right now I'm watching The Neighborhood with, oh shoot, I don't know any of the actors. The one that, do you know New Girl?
Yeah.
So the guy who plays Schmidt.
Oh yeah,
he's in it, and it's about like him and his family are super white. It's him and his wife and his young kid move from Michigan to LA, and they're in a really black neighborhood. Every single person is black, so it just kind of goes into that. But they do it in a really good way, where it's just comedy.
Yeah,
like the first few episodes, I think they address the whole like. It's on Amazon Prime. They address the whole like white family coming into a black neighborhood and stuff like that, and their differences. But like they put in comedy everywhere in it, and it's just good, and they just continue to make comedic 20-minute episodes after that. So it's really easy.
He's
to just,
like one of my
throw on.
favorite. Honestly, he's like probably my favorite character in that show in New Girl, anyways,
Yeah,
too.
for
So
sure.
like I
Yeah.
watch him also do anything too because he's hilarious. Like
Yeah, his like mannerisms and
Yeah,
and like that's what I love is like kind of like almost a little more extreme mannerisms in acting. It's not overacting necessarily, but just like for comedic relief.
yeah,
I love like the physical part of that.
he does such a good job of it. It's almost like theater in a way, like ish with that type of stuff. But like he's like I don't know. It's just like he just does. It looks so natural when he does that type of stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
So
he's
and like
always
they're
been
very
good at
different
that.
characters from like the neighborhood to like New Girl,
Oh,
but
very cool.
he still just does a good job. So
yeah, I'll have to check it out. Neighborhood, huh?
Yeah.
So
he's good.
sort of back to you now, because we went on a little
yeah,
little
I know.
tangent.
That's why I was like, this is not how you want the podcast to go.
No,
but
no, it's fine. No,
we
it's-
were talking about that commercial, and you were like, sometimes it's better to just like cut it down and make it shorter. Where it's like Barbie really like pushed the agenda for a while, and then Oppenheimer is like long. It's 3 hours.
Yeah, quite
but
long,
they
yeah.
do a really good job with it. I think they needed to for
Yeah.
the sake of the audience understanding everything.
Yeah, that
but-
was. I've heard some people say that like, it could have been an hour shorter. I'm like, it could have been an hour shorter if you're a shit director.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, okay, you could have cut like so much of the movie out, but to me, there was a lot of moments that like needed that length and needed that breath
Yeah.
and needed some explanation.
It's kind of tough. I feel like so like we talk about this a lot. How like okay, movies used to always be like an hour and a half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a 2-hour movie was like oh my god, 2 hours.
yeah,
Yeah.
no.
And then now it's like the average movie is like 2.5, and a long one is like three, maybe a little over
Yeah.
3. And I honestly, like, I think it has to do with just the fact that we can watch miniseries and stream. Most streaming shows are like an hour long.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna go see a movie and you want it to tell a good enough story to get somebody not to just watch it on a 1-hour episodes on
Yeah.
the couch, it's like you kind of have to go longer. And I feel like it's
Yeah.
not gonna get any better. Actually, I feel like it's just gonna continue to get
Yeah.
slightly
Especially
longer.
in a movie that they're trying to, it's on real events.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if you want to
You
tell a
have to-
story
yeah.
as well as you can on a streaming service that has 10 1-hour episodes, like you kind of have to go a little bit longer. And we can do a little bit more now with just technology and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's just, I don't see it. It's probably going to be a thing like 3.5 hours, pretty common.
Yeah, so I'm like, it's funny. So Oppenheimer, I was like justifiably long. I was like, Chris Nolan, you take your time.
Yeah.
You know?
You could-
However, there for sure are movies that are coming out that are like 2.5 hours that do not need to be 2.5
Yeah.
hours. A movie that did it right. And actually, I want to check how long this was. But did you see the Super Mario Brothers movie?
I didn't see it. I wanted to go to it, but
was
once it
pretty
gets
short.
like past a certain time where it's not theaters anymore, I like kind of forget about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I
me
don't
too.
end
I'm
up
the same
going
way.
to it.
I'm like definitely the same way.
So,
Too.
yeah, so here's a perfect example. The Super Mario Brothers movie was an hour and a half flat. Why? It's a good kids movie and it's airtight. From
Yeah,
the
true.
moment the movie starts to the moment the movie ends,
Mhm.
it's constantly moving. There's constantly some sort of action or funny thing or just something to keep the story pushing. And I appreciate when kids' movies are about an hour and a half. Kids to
Yeah.
like funny comedy movies, they need to be quick.
Yeah,
you know?
because it's kids' attention span, but just as much as that was for the adults, right?
Yeah.
Because we just
Yeah,
grew
yeah.
up with Super Mario Bros.
Yes,
So
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, that movie I feel like was literally like, for everybody, the demographic. And again,
It
like, they
was.
made a ton of money and it makes sense because like
Yeah.
literally everybody,
yeah.
and like all ages could go see it. I'm sure tons of people like saw it once and then saw it again with their kids. So
Yeah.
it's like, but yeah, an hour and a half, and you're right. It was nonstop, which is there was no fluff in it, which I feel like is kind of
So here's another example, and I need to go see it because it's just came out. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem is an hour and 39 minutes. So there's another movie that's like probably, I've heard it's really good. And it's like, I do think that like there is a space for longer movies, but then there's like sort of movies that are sort of overstaying their welcome that
Yeah.
I think I'm looking forward to seeing maybe a little trim off the trim
Yeah,
trim
but
off the
again,
fat
ones
of it.
like Oppenheimer where it's on true events. Like you really like take your time. Like you should
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that. But there's
Yeah.
one thing that it's not spoiling Oppenheimer, but it's super helpful to know that I found out afterwards
Okay, I'm
was
curious.
that some of the scenes are in black and white and some of them are not. Usually you would think like the black and white scenes are maybe like in the past or something, but how the movie was going, I was like, these aren't past. And it was like kind of random. I was like, I'm so confused. I can't remember. I think it was the black and white are how Oppenheimer remembered those moments, and the colored, or it's vice versa. And the color is what they got from the documents about all the events that were happening.
Oh,
Oh,
interesting.
and so it tells the it's just telling the audience that it's like, okay, what's happening? Like, how are we getting these events? So like, even if something may be a little bit off, like a big thing was the American flag in one of the.
I saw that actually. I saw like it was like a historical inaccuracy, one of those posts or something.
Yeah. And it was about the American flag, and it had like 49 stars versus 50 stars. In one of the colored ones, I think was the 50 stars, but the black and white was 49, or again, vice versa. But it was because one is how Oppenheimer remembered it, and the other is how it was like written in documents and like history. So that could have been like the reason.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So I think I brought it up before, like, the flag was different but that was because we were wondering like, okay, like how true to the actual story was it? And I just had made the point that somebody on the internet would have called it out if it wasn't accurate.
Yeah,
because that thing with the flag happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that they did that, because I was waiting the whole time, like, I'm so confused. Like, why are some of these black and white and some of these aren't? And it was just because one of them was how Oppenheimer remembered them, and the other one was from like actual historical documents.
That's
so
pretty cool.
it was just really cool to know. And it doesn't change anything about the movie, but you're less like, why is this in black and white?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and it is weird to mix black and white and color, but it's
kind of cool. I would have thought like,
cool.
did they use any like clips of like, I know they have, I don't know how much footage exists of like when they were actually testing these things, or like old footage.
They did not use.
They didn't
real
use any
footage.
old real footage. Okay,
No,
Yeah, it's all new, and crazy that none of it's CGI actually.
yeah,
That's
they
the crazy part.
they did a great job. I mean, there is a whole lot of characters for the audience to follow.
Yeah.
But I think with one, it being 3 hours, and two, more of the stuff coming in at the end, like it helped the audience put people together and really remember this person is this person does it. Like it was a lot of characters to follow. But I think that they did a good job helping the audience out. So sorry.
No, it's cool. It's cool. So I'm also curious, because we're getting to the back half of the episode. I do want to. Is it okay?
So yeah, no, I hit my elbow on it.
Oh, okay.
Making sure I didn't move it. And then I was like, who was that?
So now I do want to talk about some of your. I know we didn't really get too much into the acting stuff, which I do. I'm still a little bit curious. Like, actually, you know what? Before we move on to the fitness stuff,
yeah, okay.
So
We're still here.
Yeah. So you've done a few national commercials, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So how did you? What's the process like? Because for someone who hears something like that, they might be really curious. Like, how do you even land something like that? Like, someone who's maybe an actor who's listening is like, okay, well, how did you get that opportunity? So
yeah, well, I just want to start with everyone's journey is different.
Yes,
like there's no one's ever going to give you a clear-cut way to success or to a national commercial. Like I wasn't like, I need a national commercial, and I was working directly towards that. I was like, again, I do it because I enjoy it. And I've worked my way up to now 3 agencies in different markets that I'm signed with. So it just bing bong.
Oh, it's off.
Never mind.
Shoot.
Keeping it for
All
next
right,
one.
we're keeping it for the next one.
Yeah, next one.
But yeah, so I think that one was through my Massachusetts agency, because that's also where the shoot was done.
It was the NHL one, right?
Yeah, it was the NHL one. So it was for Fanatics.
Okay, cool.
And so Fanatics does all different kinds of jerseys for all different sports teams. But I was pretty lucky that I was put into a hockey jersey, and it was hockey season, because the NHL is now officially changing their jerseys to Fanatics jerseys, like branded.
wow.
Like it's not, what was it before, Adidas or something like that? I think.
Sure.
What was it? Bauer? I don't know. Maybe.
But
No, it's Fanatics.
they're now changing it to Fanatics. So this was a big push, and like Fanatics and NHL, like all their commercials online and the social media and everything. It was the LA Golden Knights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when I reposted on my social media and people were like, "Oh my God, it would be better if you had this jersey," I was like, "I don't even watch hockey, so sorry." I was like, "I'm a baseball fan, and that is
I can't believe you betrayed us all over here on the East Coast.
I was like, "Hey, if they put a Yankee jersey on me, I'd like it so much more," but that's okay.
Yeah.
So, I think I just work hard, and I keep up with connecting with my agencies, and this casting came towards me. You know what was really funny is like, this really shows hard work is that, and consistency and staying with it.
You've been in it for 10 years, really.
Well, yes.
You know?
But specifically with Fanatics, they do these commercials quite a bit. So I remember I auditioned for them the first time maybe when I was in high school or young college, maybe like freshman in college or something. And I was able to get myself to the in-person audition, which we know do not happen anymore as much at all.
It's crazy.
Is that like there's like a few before you get to that, or
what do you mean, like an in-person audition?
Yeah, like do they do multiple rounds of auditions for these?
Depends on the commercial and the casting and stuff.
Like Harvey had that's Twix or Snickers one.
Oh yeah.
And they didn't bring him in person until it was the final rounds.
Oh,
so he had like an initial self tape, I think a follow up one, and then it was in person stuff. Okay.
And usually the bigger the company, the more they'll do that tier thing.
Okay,
but
that makes sense.
A lot of the times we just do self tapes, and they're just like, "Great, you booked it," or then no one tells you anything, and you're like, "Okay, I didn't get it."
Yes. We were going over that in the last episode.
Rude. Like, come on.
It sucks.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like.
I know.
But
yeah, so this was, just one of the ones where they were having it in person, and I went, and I was so nervous, and I did not do well, and I remember it exactly, and it was so uncomfortable, and I didn't get it. And then after that, Fanatics did more castings over time for new shoots, and they were all self-tapes, and I did it maybe 2 or 3 more times after that, every time they did a new one, and I still didn't get it. And then I did this one, and I got it, and I was just stunned, because I was like, I have just submitted myself to them for over a span of like maybe 7 years and like 4 or 5 times, and I just never got it. And all of a sudden, like, they want me this time, and like you can ask like what changed, what was this one? I don't know, maybe just because I'm more confident because I've done it for longer or what it is. But
sometimes the stars align, like you just fit the part, you have the look they want for this specific time for this commercial, it's just like
and a lot of the times those self-tapes or the auditions in general were very similar of what they wanted you to do. So I could have said, I've auditioned for them like so many times. I keep doing the same thing. Like, how could I be doing anything different? Like, my choices are the same.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to get it again. They never choose me. But like, instead, I just kept doing it, and then they booked me. So it was just really cool. It was just a nice, like, full circle thing. You know? But
it's kind of a numbers game, right? You did it like,
just keep doing
you got to get it one of these times. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So there's no like clear cut way to be like, oh yeah, I was on a national commercial. It's like NHL just is a national commercial. I don't know. They just and then I got it. Like, that's why I started with like, no one's journey is the same. Like, I don't have a clear cut way to be like, okay, you're gonna get here and do this national commercial by doing this. It's like just
don't
work hard and
stop
keep doing it and do it because you like it. Like,
is that like sort of, and I think actually your attitude of like just doing it because you like it and not because I think so I like that attitude, just to preface this. And then I think what happens is that you get people that do maybe get signed to JC and they don't get a commercial immediately.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, this place, this is a scam. Like, I didn't book it within 2 months. This place sucks. And like, people will say that about a lot of places where they'll get, whether it's like any of these modeling agencies, or just on their own accord, is they'll do it for a few months and then they're just like, well, nothing happened, so therefore nothing's ever going to happen. Yeah. And they just have this attitude of like, the world is against me.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I think when you have your attitude, which is like, I'm going to do it because I like it, because I have fun, and I know that if I just keep going and I keep showing up to auditions, eventually one of these is going to land.
Yeah. And it's like, I enjoyed the journey. I'm not like doing it until I get that commercial or the shoot or whatever. It's like, I do it because I enjoy the journey. And there's definitely times where I'm like, I'm exhausted and I don't want to do this dumb self-tape. Like, this is dumb. Yeah. But, I set up my backdrop, I set up my camera, I put my makeup on, I put my shirt on, and I memorize the lines, and then I do it. It's obnoxious sometimes, but you do it. And the thing is, like, I feel like a lot of people think that way of like, oh, I got signed and I haven't gotten a job in a month or right away, and this place is a scam. One, because I think people in the industry now have been fed that there are so many scams out there, which there are. But one, just do your research properly. And like, I don't want to get into like all the details of how to, because I'm exhausted talking about that.
No, you don't have to.
I've done that. Good. I've just done that a lot. But in general, it's just like, do your research. What are you putting your money into? Is it to actually be signed with the agency, or is it to update your portfolio, which is necessary for every single talent? Is it to work, put it towards acting classes, which every single talent should always do? There's famous actors who constantly still have coaches. And so like, just like, what are you putting your money into? How hard are you working? What did you really expect out of this? Like, why are you here? You just like ask yourself those questions. And that's like, getting signed to an agency is a big deal. That's a good accomplishment. You should be happy at that point, not like, oh, you're owed this like thing to be signed with an agency. Like you're not. That's a big deal first. So be happy you got it. And it's the same thing as like you get a job. So you get a job in finance. I don't know. You get a job. That's a big deal. You got signed to Goldman Sachs, right? You have a job at Goldman Sachs. That's huge. They're a big company. And that's like being, okay, I've been doing work for a month and I haven't gotten a raise?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, or just like plain old recognition. Like you can get like, even in like the engineering world, Adam, I think you said it best, is like, it's not about what you did for me.
What have you done for me lately, basically,
yes.
is how it is, which is like, it doesn't matter what you did 2 years ago. It's like, what are you doing right now?
Yeah.
And it's like
nobody remembers that shit.
Yeah, and it's like, so you can't expect like immediate gratification from, say you get hired somewhere. It's not like they're going to walk up to you every day and be like, you did a great job. You did a great job. You did a great job. Because it's just expected for you to do a good job.
Yeah.
And, maybe you do something exceptional. But that's, again, it's going to be like years of building that up. But it's a really good point that you make. And I think it's like an important one for a lot of people that are interested in the space to recognize that, like, first of all, no one just walks in and is like insta famous.
Yeah.
Not Instagram famous, but instantly famous.
Yeah.
And instantly has a ton of money from it. And you're going to spend a lot of hours getting a lot of no's. And people are just going to constantly tell you no until you get like 1 or 2 yeses. And it's like, you got to really go for it on those
and it's
ones.
like one of the best things I think I heard in terms of like the industry is what was like an overnight success was built in 10 years or something like that. It's like, yep, there was a lot of freaking work to get there.
It's like anything, right? Like all anything, like people like to, I feel like, kind of fantasize about like the end. And it's like, oh, that would be so cool. And like, I'm just like, oh, well, you're forgetting about the massive amount of work and time you're going to have to do to actually get there. And it's like, if you actually want to do it, sure. But it's one of those things where it's like with anything, it's like if you do something enough times, it's hard to be bad at it, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're doing something for 10, 15 years and you're still bad at it, well, okay, that's kind of on you. You should be like self-reflecting or something. But
but
like,
spend 10
you
years,
know what
man.
I'm saying? Like if you're doing something for that long, like it's impossible to be bad at something you do that often. You know what I mean? If you're constantly working.
Unless you're just going through the motions. But constantly working at it is like the key.
Mindful, right? It's like the difference between like, I don't know, like, just being mindful with anything. Like you can't practice something. Being absent-minded is not really practice. You're just like mindlessly doing something you're not going to improve. But like if you're actually mindfully doing something for a long amount of time, it's really impossible to be bad at it. Like, so
almost like physical fitness.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to make a gym comment too, but it's true.
We're sitting here. I'm like, it's like fitness.
We're all thinking it.
Someone had to say it.
Normal segue here. Exercise.
But for real though, it's a great point because I think exercise is another thing that people will be like, oh man, like, like you're just in such good shape. Like you just got really good genetics and stuff. And it's like, it's like to an extent, there always is a genetic component when it comes to fitness because like you have certain muscle insertions and bone lengths and all these certain things that will make your body unique and to building than the other person.
Mm-hmm.
But I think something that cannot be denied is the precious resource of just working. Of just constantly working at it.
Also like somebody always has it worse and looks better than you in terms of fitness. Not doesn't have to be like looks, but you know what I'm saying. Like somebody has worse genetics than you and looks better than you because of the amount of work they're putting in. So it's like you could make that comment all day, like genetics, this and that, and to an extent, for some people, it's true. But again, like there's always somebody who has it worse who's doing better. So it's like if you see that and you're still like saying that thing, it's I don't know. To me, it's like okay, dude.
Yeah. And the thing is, like sometimes it does take people to be in a really hard situation to push themselves to like get to a place, right? If someone was like had breast cancer and then they survived and like they thought they were going to die, now they're like living every day to their fullest, right? Other like if you didn't have breast cancer and you're just like, oh yeah, I'm trying to work hard. Oh God, work's so tiring and yada yada. Then you like find more things to complain about, and then instead of like appreciating it because you weren't like facing death at one moment.
Yeah.
But I think like the thing is, there's a lot of podcasts out there, right? And conversation, anything that like people are talking about health and wellness and like how to get there and stuff. And like everyone's always going to have different goals. They're going to have different starting points. They're going to have different genetics. They're going to have different mindsets. But the thing is like you always have to come down to first like your foundations of just like, are you getting enough sleep? Are you drinking enough water? Are you being consistent? But like another big thing is like, what's your purpose? Like, why are you doing it? Like, you can't just be like, oh yeah, because I want to lose weight. It's like, okay, that's a good, yeah. Like if you want to lose weight, sure.
Might get you there.
Yeah, but it's like,
Doesn't keep
what's
you
going
there.
to keep you going and to like get to the point and sustain it? Yeah. So it's like, but a lot of the people don't even get to the point.
Yeah.
And like, they have to find the reason and the purpose for like, yes, we could want to look really sexy for Instagram or a significant other or something, which is like a big part of it, right? We want to feel that way and see ourselves that way. But what's gonna make our life as a whole more worth living? It's not just about looking good or being lean or something, but it's because like that's just part of our life. Like the other part is like what we do on a day-to-day basis. Like, do we brush our teeth every day? Do we go for a walk every day? Do we spend time with our loved ones every day? Like we do these things and like we don't always make them our purpose or like a larger point in our life to like do because we get caught up in the grind of work and the exhaustion of our kids and like whatever else it may be. But a lot of us don't ask us like what our purpose is. And I think that's one of the biggest questions like we need to ask ourselves, because a lot of people can't answer that question. It's like, what's my purpose? What drives me? And a lot of people don't do that. And that's what makes it a lot harder to continue to just do the things day to day that you want to do or that you kind of need to do for your health and your life and vitality and stuff.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point because just having like a surface level goal might get you in the gym, but then all of a sudden it's a rainy day and you just feel like laying in bed and, oh, it's so comfortable. Why would I wake up early? Without that real purpose and drive, it's really easy to not stay dedicated.
Yeah.
But if you have an understanding about like, you know, how healthy it is for your bones and your endocrine system and long-term like dividends that you're paying short-term pain for, and like, it doesn't even have to be that painful. Like that's the other thing too, is like, I think people, if they realize that like being fit and staying healthy gets easier the longer you do it, people would be more inclined to keep going. They kind of have this like the yo-yo effect of like, oh, I'm going to go really, really hard, really, really hard, 5 days, 6 days a week. And then, oh, wow, working out so hard. Because they went from 0 to 100 and they never took the steps in between to like build up to like, what does it mean to do fitness?
They never asked themselves the questions. And like, that was the problem in the beginning. It's like, you're not like, America's just like all or nothing kind of thing. It's like, oh, why are other countries so much more healthier and they don't have gyms at all? Like in Italy, there's no gyms, right? It's like, one, people walk everywhere. Two, their food is a lot better. Like
they're just not eating quality. As much too. They're not eating as much. They're also smoking a lot. Yeah. Like when I went,
feel like they're like 7-course meals, pasta first, and
once a day.
Like,
once a day. I went to Italy for about a week last year. And just from the short time I was there, so I can't really speak for all of Italy.
Yeah.
But from what I noticed was the average Italian person that I saw woke up, they had a cappuccino or an espresso with a cigarette. And then they'd walk all day. They wouldn't eat a thing. Lunch, super light. Maybe a thing of bread, little bit of pasta, another cigarette, another espresso. So they're just doing cigarettes, espresso, and walking. And then almost no food until dinner. And they would have this really big meal. But their really big meal is still like a small meal in the United States, I would say.
Yeah, and like what I don't want anyone listening to be like, oh, okay, great. So I just like won't eat, and then I'll have a really big meal. Yeah,
cigarettes
and stuff.
That's the key to being fit.
Are awesome.
Yeah, and like you would think like we're like, oh yeah, like obviously people won't think that, but like
I know
people think that. People follow it.
I will say
a lot
though,
of weird shit.
The people that were like our age, like I guess my age and Adam's age, like 28 and 30. Looked a little bit older. And I think it's from the chronic smoking. Like you could tell that their skin was a little weathered.
Yeah,
and
their
like,
lungs probably are black.
Yeah, you know, like that's the thing is like, and to this point of some people is like, just because someone's thin doesn't necessarily mean they're healthy.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
But there is a lot of benefits to being, not severely overweight.
Yeah, and to like look past that surface level of like, okay, breakfast is cappuccino and smoking, lunch is cappuccino, smoking, bread, and then dinners, cappuccino, smoking, and like a
and
meal,
it's big.
a large meal.
Yeah, an actual meal. Yeah.
It's like, one, their quality of food is fabulous there.
it's true.
So much better than America, which like we can't really fully control all the time because we live in America. So like we have to do what we can.
Yeah, a lot smaller country in Italy, so less people to feed.
Yes. And the other thing is, yes, walking. But they also have their purpose. Like they have that thing where they have family time, which a lot of us don't do.
They care so much about family over there.
Yeah, it's like we think we do, but it's under a ton of stress.
Yeah.
And then we have kids, and then that's under a ton of stress, and then we're busy and we're working. It's like we don't make family time a priority.
Yeah.
We don't make our health and our mental well-being a priority, which I'm glad it's like kind of becoming more of a thing now.
Yeah.
But it's really not something. It's so easy to lose that because we're just in our day-to-day of grinding and being stressed and stuff. And like that's a huge thing. It's like they don't have a lot of stress over there.
Yeah.
And
or they're stressed about different things. You know?
I
know. When I was
they
speaking,
come back.
It was so funny. Like it's like what I found when I was over there was talking to the Italians. Like there was a bunch of Italians that have rose-colored rose-colored glasses.
We're there.
Yeah. Yes. When looking at the United States, where they're like, oh, like, you know, I would love to come over there. Like, I'm so done with Italy. Like, Italy's government's so corrupt. And I was like, well,
dude,
let me tell
we have
you.
a surprise for you here.
We do work a lot here, though, relatively speaking. Because I even remember, like, we'd go over and, like, I don't remember.
Dude, they just take off for 3 hours.
No, I was gonna say we're on a boat. I was gonna say we're like on a boat and like we're trying to like get everything going and like put stuff on the boat and whatever. And we're like, hey, like we need the crane. It's like, you know what I mean? And it's like probably like 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And the crane dude is just taking a nap with like a cigarette in his mouth. And I'm like, hey, buddy, like we want to like continue the workday here. And it's like, no, it's siesta time. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like,
what siesta?
It's the middle of the day. Like, dude, what are you talking about?
When it rained
2
out
hours long.
one day in Italy, it rained. And it's a city, okay? It rained. Every single shop closed. Every shop like acted like it was Christmas or something. And all it was rain.
Yeah.
It rained for a few hours. Every place is like, well, no one's coming.
Dude, everything.
See you later. I'm taking a nap.
Yeah.
Everything here is like so focused on convenience, whether it's like store hours or like even like food, right? It's like, how do we get everything available at all times of the year? That's why we have like arguably worse quality food here is because of what we have to do in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
But it's like that's just like everything's so convenient here and that, you know, that's part of it. But also, everything is always open. But then also that means somebody needs to be working at all times. And so everybody's always working. So it's like, it's weird. There's a lot of cool things. But the big difference is, I mean, people just fuck off in the middle of the day for a couple hours. I'm like,
Yeah. And like it would take us a little adjusting when like if we go there and we start living there. But like it would take us some adjusting because we're so used to having everything at our convenience or we need things, whatever, whether it's food or a service. Like we're constantly needing to do something. But it's like, you don't. Right. We have a hard time coming to terms with that. And like, you know, people see coaches or like someone like me who's like, I'm a coach or I'm a nutritionist, whatever. And people are like, oh, wow, you're so fit. You know everything. I'm like, I am 25 and I am still learning all of it for myself in my own life. Like it takes just like being aware and adjusting with your life as it goes along. Like nothing is the same. Science changes too. And like the pressure of trying to keep up with that and get that information out to other people in the most simple and most understandable way. But then to like apply that into my own life when I also have the same stresses that everyone else does, which is like work or school or finances. And like, I also am living in America in a stressful environment, but trying to remind myself to like, okay, what's important to me? What's my purpose? Spend time with family, like not have my laptop with me, which I bring it like everywhere I go. I'll have like anxiety without my laptop, check my email all the time. Like I love laptop work, but I'm like, it's okay to just like leave it and just go spend uninterrupted time with someone, whether that's for an hour or a day. Like it should be done. And we just don't make it a priority because we think we got to work, we got to go. We have things to do, but it's like, what is necessary? Like people don't see it as necessary or like as much of a time crunch thing. Like say we have a deadline for work or like I got to get dinner made. It's like, we're constantly thinking about those things that needs to be done right now instead of like, okay, how do we stop for a second, look at how we can make our future life a little easier, whether it's with work or cooking or whatever. so that we can spend more time on also the things that are making our health and our life just better. And we don't ask ourselves these questions. So it's like, yeah, we can take this whole time to talk about the endocrine system and like something in depth, but it's like the average person is not understanding this. No offense, average person, but like, we spend our time thinking about this stuff all the time. So it's like, it can be really complicated, but it doesn't have to be either. The average person just needs to do things consistently, which is 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night, drink half your body weight in ounces of water, move, get, at least 7,000 steps in a day, and just move. Like, we put pressure on ourselves that when we try to do these things to like get it perfect and do it all the time and go to the gym and work really hard. It's like, I'm sure you don't do any of these things normally. So something is going to be better than nothing. Like, just start doing it.
Do like
make it a routine. Yeah. Make it a foundation. Like, do something. Then you can start getting into the detail after that. But
that's a fantastic point, because it's something that like I really try to hit home with a lot of people, is that like the internet is so, and especially in the fitness space, is so full of people just like debating on what is the best diet and this is the best workout and this is like, and I get it, when you are in the fitness space and you want to have a debate about like fasted cardio versus like keto versus like balanced diet versus, all these kind of things. But when the general population takes a look at that, they're just like, well, nothing works.
Yeah.
Everything's bad for me.
Those conversations are all for like people who've been in the gym for 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, that's like not something, and it's funny because it's like, you kind of get like paralysis by analysis because you're like, oh my God, there's so many options and which one is the best one and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, yeah, dude, like start by just like sleeping, like you said, like sleeping and drinking water and like just being consistent. It's like, you can do anything. You can do the worst thing in the world, but if you're consistent with it, it's going to be better than the one you did for 6 weeks and stopped.
Yeah.
So it's like
worst program.
Yeah. Sorry. I don't know about like worst thing.
You could kill someone every day.
Yeah.
Look, and it's still going to be better.
You're going to be jacked by the end of it.
All that strangling,
Yeah. So
your forearms are just huge.
It's true. It's like you can have the worst program, and then it's like, but if you're doing it consistently for years, like you're better off than somebody who's doing the best program ever for like 6 to 8 weeks.
Or that you're just not doing a program. Like, it could be a shitty program that you're doing for like 10 years or no program at all. It's like, well, at least they're doing something. Like, I don't know why the program is shitty that you're doing for 10 years, but like, I'm sure it involves movement and being aware of what you're eating.
Yeah.
And like, that's all. Like, because the average person is just not doing that.
Yeah.
At all.
Like the basic stuff. Like, people wonder like, oh, how come old people, like when they fall down, they break their hip? It's like they break their hip because they haven't used their hip muscles in years.
Yeah, they stop moving.
They stop moving. They sit down. There's this guy at our gym, Bill. Shout out, Bill.
Yeah, Bill. Shout out. Bill's like 85 or something,
like
86.
85.
Love it.
He's in great shape for an 85-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like doing the ab roller. He's like,
doing the ab roller.
I mean, the fact that he can like put his arms over his head, first of all, like I know so many old people, I can't do that.
Yeah. And like he rides his bike everywhere and is mentally still really sharp, still making jokes.
Yeah.
I always feel like I can tell how good an old person is doing based on their humor level.
Yeah.
Because like a humor is sort of like a complex thing.
Yeah.
But he's always making jokes and he's in great shape and he's talking about getting abs this summer, and he's just a good guy. But that is like an example of like I was at a gathering with like a bunch of old people drinking beers and stuff. They're like, yeah, when I was your age, like, yeah, I look just like you. I was like, okay, sure. And then he was like, but when you get older, it just falls right off you.
Yeah.
I'm like, it doesn't. Like,
I hate people's excuse of getting older.
Yes.
When crap happens, they're like, it just comes with age. Or I get older. I'm like, I'm going to slap you in the face right now. Just shut up. Like, you just stopped changing with your body, because like as you get older, you need more protein. You're just not utilizing it as well. You just need more protein, which is another reason why old people break things when they fall, in addition to like not moving and stuff. But it's just like, you're not changing with your body, and it's honestly partly not their fault either that they think that, because that's just what we've been fed this whole time.
True.
And
the information
it's
wasn't
big
there for them.
pharma, and like it's like, okay, you feel this way, you go to the doctor, you get a med, and that's it. They just keep making
just
money.
Give you this shot in your foot, and then you'll be good for.
Just a cortisone shot.
Yeah.
Don't go to the physical therapist. Just a little.
Or you need this pill, and you're gonna take it every day for the rest of your life.
Dude, they were trying to
enjoy.
What did they did? And you fixed your forearm, right? For the most part.
Yeah. It's almost all fixed.
They were telling him that he had to go in and get a nerve removed and wrapped around the other side of his arm.
Yeah, I had
because he was
cubital tunnel syndrome, which I still mildly have, like thoracic outlet too, or something. Anyways, I knew, like, I was like, okay, I think this is like happening in my neck and my shoulder. And the guy was like, yeah, shot like a cortisone shot in my finger. And I was like, it was like as it was happening, I was like, how much is this going to cost? And he was like, oh, you know, like, oh, you have insurance,
$3,000.
right? Like, you're fine. And I was like, yeah, but like, I don't like. Okay, I guess, but if it's like over a couple $100, like I don't. So I knew it wasn't going to do anything. I was like, this isn't where the problem is. This is a result of the problem. So
Yes.
like, this is going to be a problem in like 3 weeks. And then what do you know? I came back and the freaking problem was still there. He gave me a shot in my hand. It bruised up, and then my hand was like weirdly numb for a couple days. And then like, you know, I came back and I was like, thanks, that cost me $200. Like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna do this again?
Yeah,
He gives me like some brace to wear it when I sleep. Did nothing. Never wore it. Cost me $120. And I'm like, dude, just stop spending my money on random stuff. And like,
Yeah.
let's just talk about this for a second.
Yeah.
And the sad part is like, we want to blame other people, and like it's easy to blame that guy who gave you the cortisone shot, but like he's only doing what he learned.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
it's true.
he
Yeah.
went to school for this, and this is what school taught him. But it's like we haven't changed that curriculum in ever. Surgeons, doctors,
Yeah.
they have 24 hours max of nutrition coaching.
Yeah.
The amount of problems that could be solved with our fucking
Yeah, it's
food.
true.
I
It's
know.
Our
crazy.
food.
I know.
Go down the street, buy an apple, and eat that. Don't spend $200 on a cortisone shot. Like,
I know.
it's just so dumb.
I feel like
a
the
lot
gut
of it
health
is-
thing is definitely becoming more and more popular, and I'm sure
Yeah.
it's gonna like expand like crazy in the next like whatever 10 years, because we're learning about how important it is. But it is just funny that I don't know, like you would hope that whoever it is, even if you're schooled a certain way, like you do need to know all that stuff, but you should also be like questioning or trying to problem solve for every situation on its own, not just like, well, my book told me that I need to give you a shot for this. It's like, hey, like I'm as the patient, like nobody has any more sense of what's going on than me in terms of like, I can tell you exactly what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, because I think about this obsessively, I probably have more of like, more detail than a normal regular person walking in who has no
you
fucking idea.
majored in
Yeah.
biomedical
But my
engineering.
point is that
you
I
know,
was
like-
giving him valuable information, and this is what I do is like as an engineer is like all I do is problem solve all day, and I was like these would be helpful for you to know X, Y, Z, and it was like he just wasn't even listening, and he was just like yeah, here you go,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, the famous saying is like, it's not famous at all. I came up with it. The saying is,
dude, everybody
like,
knows the saying.
yeah, everyone knows the saying. Like a surgeon will know how to use a scalpel. Like your regular doctor will know how to prescribe you a pill. A physical therapist will know how to give you physical therapy.
Yeah,
So
it's true. It's his trade, right?
Yeah,
So-
whatever discipline you go to, if you went to a doctor, he'd be like, oh, you have some pain? Here's a pill. Or you went to this guy, he's like, oh, let me shoot you with this. And then I think you went to a surgeon, he's like, oh, well, I think if I use my scalpel, I'll cut around here, I'll move this over here, and then
So
you
that's
won't
what he
feel that
knows.
anymore. And then it's like, didn't you end up going to physical therapy too?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. And that seemed, to me, a lot of problems can be solved by physical therapy. It took forever to try and convince my dad of that. And in the end, he like went to a physical therapist that fucked him up. And I was like, fuck, God
Yeah,
damn
dang.
it. I was
Isn't
like,
that what's so
I was like,
frustrating?
fuck,
Yeah.
like, no, it could have worked. I promise you. He's like, yeah, well, my knee blew up like the size of a softball. I'm like, son of a bitch, you damn physical therapist.
Yeah.
Fucking it up. Now my dad thinks physical therapy is a scam.
Dude,
I
you know,
It's true. I mean, you need to go to, it's hard to vet these things too. And it's like,
It is.
I feel for like the regular person too, because like even for me, and like we spend a lot of time just like reading about this stuff and actually doing it. And like it took me a while to find a place, and you know, they did a great job, and we were having a whole conversation about it the whole time. And like the difference is like they were listening, and like we were
Yeah.
actually having a discussion
those
about
are
it.
those Massachusetts guys, though. Guys
Yeah.
and gals, I should say.
Yeah, shout out Morgan. But
Yep.
yeah, she it was super helpful. And yeah, and like she like I just talking to her, like I knew she knew what she was talking about. Like my
Yeah.
biggest thing was like, all right, like, you know, like I'm fucking crazy. I spend a lot of time reading about this stuff. Am I gonna go somewhere that's just they're gonna make me do basic shit that like I feel like I know more about the problem than the person I'm working with? And I went there and I felt like, no, these guys know exactly what they're doing. This is great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so but anyways, yeah.
But that's like I think that that's a really important thing for like a lot of people to know is that whether it's a doctor, or a physical therapist, or a psychologist, or your nutritionist, or a personal trainer, like you have to know that it's okay if your first one isn't the one that's right for you, right? They say that mainly about like psychologists. They're like shop around,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like try one. If you don't like it, it's okay. pick a different one because not everyone's going to be directly for you. You're not going to like, it may not be that they're underqualified or they don't know what they're talking about. It's like, you just don't vibe with each other. And like, that's okay, but don't be turned off by the service when it's in terms of your health. Like, it's priceless for your health.
It's like, I also, like, I kind of see it as like, okay, like if you went to like an auto body shop and the mechanic fucked your car up, you're never going to go back to the shop.
Yeah, right.
You're taking your car to another shop. You know what I'm saying?
Right? Your car's still fucked. And
Yeah.
you something about it.
It's like, okay, like
That's a good point.
it's a job. It's like, it's a job. Like there are people that are good at their job and bad at their job.
Yeah,
and
people
like,
care, don't care.
Yeah. So it's like you find somebody that's good at their job and also like, and that's why reviews are helpful. You can see if people have actually been helped by this person, blah, 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 whatever. But yeah, it's like, I know people like those are weird. People for some reason just like hold like, oh, this guy's a doctor. He must know everything ever that he's talking, like, you know what I mean, that he's talking about. It's like, not necessarily. There are people that are, obviously there's a lot of schooling that goes into it and they try to vet it out, but it's like, it's not always like, it's a job like anything else. There's going to be people that are good at it and people that are bad at it. And,
Yeah.
And like, you kind of go through the motion and I don't remember, I was going to say, you brought up something about like family or something and I was kind of going to like, yeah, like.
That it's like they spend time with their family. They make it like a point to like just spend time with them like uninterrupted by other people and things and stress.
Yeah, that's definitely like I notice so Adam's Lebanese. I notice in Lebanese culture, like your dad is like when your dad talks to like you and Kareem, like yes, he's funny and whatever, but I can tell he fucking loves you guys and like cares about you. And like I know way too many American families that feel like everything's broken and stuff. It doesn't really. like your dad, I think, still looks at you like the little kid. He respects you like a man, but like there's a certain sense of like family values in there.
Yeah, I mean, like, even like growing up, I was gonna say like I feel like I spend like so much time. I mean, I have like I don't even know, like probably like 40 cousins, and like you know, we all kind of grew up in the same area. So like my mom's brothers and sisters all lived around near me, and all their kids were around my age, so we all grew up together. But like I feel like I spent so much time with them, and like I would remember like it'd be the weekend and I'd be like, oh yeah, like, I have to go hang out with my family, and like all of my like American white friends were like, why do you hang out with your family so much, you know, basically. And I was like, it's like, what do you mean, like, you know, it's so weird to me. I was like, what are you talking about, like you don't hang out with your family, like
and the answer is no.
It was very strange, and like we used to go over, like I don't know, they were all around my age too, so I would just hang out with them all the time. And
I think it's like a big family thing too. Like if you have a big family, like I have 7 cousins. They're spread out. I've got like Arizona and Michigan and Boston and stuff. Like they're all spread out. And then I have 2 other siblings. And so like we still love each other, but it wasn't like, and we had dinner together and stuff, but it wasn't like, oh, we've got this. We like set time up to the side to like do this and stuff. But my boyfriend, he has 6 siblings. He has like 9 cousins just in one family, but like there's like 7 other cousin families off of that. Like he has a big family. They're all near each other. They own the restaurant Luigi's in Old Saybrook. And
so is he Italian?
What? No.
He's German, actually.
Yeah.
The Luigi's is ironic.
Pretty sure he's Irish. So, but no. So the restaurant's closed on Mondays, so they have family game nights. They have dinner.
That's cool.
They sit down, right? Because none of them are working, so they just sit down. They have dinner together. They just like hang out afterwards. And they play games if they want to, or they hang out and talk, and they watch a movie. Like it's just like family time. And like they have busy schedules. Like running a restaurant isn't like the most calm thing in the world. It's like when they do have this and they know they're all off at the same time, like they enjoy this family time together, and it's something to like set aside. And it makes such a big difference that you have like if you've heard of the blue zones or anything, like the centenarians, people who live to 100, right? The blue zones are the people where like a lot of them are living to about 100.
Yeah.
And there's like the 9 pillars of people who are centenarians. And one of them is like their purpose. The other one is family. The other one is like grains and like the other stuff that you would think for like healthy living. But it's like those are pillars that are so essential to living and vitality and health and happiness. And that's just not what we here like make a priority. We just like, we got to get back. We got to pay bills. We got to eat, like stuff like that.
I mean, there's definitely been a big focus, especially recently with both like, or all kinds of people, I should say, is like so much focus on like, oh, I got to do this for me. and it's like me time, and I got to get this business up, and I got to get this job going, and I make all the money for me. And like that happens for a lot of people. And I think they get caught up in it. And then what happens is they're like in their mid 30s, they don't have a lifetime partner because they've been spending so much time just being like, oh, like I'm young, I can just fool around and do whatever I want. And then they get to be older and they're like, I never thought about that family fulfillment part.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
And so I think, I don't know, we'll see where it's going. I think there's enough conversations happening now where I think it will kind of course correct a little bit.
Yeah. And I think like it's still good for you to go about your life and be like, oh, okay, I'm doing this for myself. I'm thinking about myself. Like that is important. But so that's why you like just end up attracting people, whether friends or relationships, that you end up attracting that are also in that same environment within themselves, that they're thinking, okay, I'm doing this for myself, my own health. I'm being mindful about what I want, what I need and stuff like that. And you start attracting those people. That's where like the vibrations come from and stuff. So the thing is like, as long as you're doing that, people will come your direction, and hopefully eventually they will be like romantic people. And then you can openly have these conversations then with them, because you're both on the same level where you care about your own health and your happiness, and you're able to then build that off together. So
yeah, I think it's like it's like being open to it. Cause like even I like for a while was like, nah, relationship. Couldn't be me.
Screw it.
Yeah. And I think like just sort of realizing that there is a bit of like, you have to be open-minded to a lot of things. And like certain big decisions are like really scary. And that's going to be coming up in a lot of things in your life.
Yeah. But as long as you have the right person by your side, that it's not like the biggest thing with a relationship is like, they're not making life harder.
Yeah.
Like life is hard enough.
Should feel easy.
Yes.
Should feel easy.
At least not harder. But yes, easy is ideal, easier.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, so like people are like, oh, I don't know if this is the one, or I think it's the one. It's like, are they making life harder? And what do you feel in your gut? Right.
Yeah.
If you're like, oh, I don't know, it's probably not the person, right?
Yeah.
And that's just a huge thing. It's like if you are like unsure about your relationship or who you're going to be with, or say you're like 30 and you still don't have, a significant other, and like you feel the pressure, like, oh, I got to start a family soon and whatever. It's just like, focus on yourself. What should come to you will come when it needs to.
Yeah, you definitely shouldn't force it. It's like one of those things where it's like,
all
right, you don't have to just because you feel like you need to. It's like,
we have the stigma of like the age and time frame of stuff. It's like, whatever. Some people like become a famous author and write their first book at like 52 or something. It's like when people are like, oh, I've been writing since I was 20. So you're like, oh, by 30, I should have my first book written, best-selling author. Right. It's like, well, not really. Just as like we were saying, just like work hard, focus on like what you love to do, and just like the thing will come to you.
Yeah. And I like that because that kind of ties everything in, honestly. Like the acting, the modeling, the all that stuff. So we've been going for a hot minute. Is there Is there anything that you kind of want to tie the bow on? Tell us like what you're up to, your coaching, your anything where people can find you, that kind of stuff.
Yep. I am coaching. Yep.
Yes.
I have a business called Amped Up Coaching, and because my initials are AMP, so I thought that was cute.
That's actually way more clever than I thought. You were just going like amped up, but
I mean, it worked because that too. But I was like,
no, it double works. Yeah. Double works. That's great.
So I'm a personal trainer and nutritionist. So I do that all together. I don't really have like a specific niche right now of who I work with. I definitely have like what my experience has been a little more in, but in general, like everyone, because of like what we were talking about before, everyone usually needs to start in the same place, whether they're coming for this or that and they're completely different. They usually need to start in the same place, which is like, are you getting enough sleep? Are you drinking enough water? Like, are you eating right? And like, it sounds stupid. And you're like, oh, why would I pay someone to tell me that? It's like, because you knew this all along.
Yeah.
The problem is you don't have someone to help you along.
Yeah.
And to do it properly and to do it in a way where you can be mindful of yourself, because also without a coach, like people are like, I just need to do it perfectly all the time because I've now decided I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. It's like, whoa, oh my God, relax. You're scaring me. So it's like having that guidance of someone who's just like understands not only what you need to do, but like how to be mindful of yourself. Because I'm a holistic nutritionist. So I'm not just like, you know, like you're an RD or like someone who just like decided they like food, which I do, but you know, but like,
food is great.
Yes, a holistic nutrition is more of like being also in tune with yourself and like finding the root cause, like you were talking about with your arm, right? It's like the pain's in your hand, but you're like, I'm pretty sure it's up
My
here.
neck,
It's definitely here. And so like that's a big thing is like having someone to help you along who understands these things and can almost like reality check you. It's like, okay, you feel stressed, like you've been doing like a lot of these things and you feel like you're not doing it right or whatever. It's like, okay, maybe this isn't what your body needs right today. Tomorrow could be different. Yesterday could have been different, but it's like today, like what do you need right now? And so having someone along that journey with you helps. I mean, personal training is kind of obvious. Like if you don't know how to work out or never been to a gym or like whatever, you don't know what to do, like a trainer helps. But so my Instagram is Amped Up Coaching, and as it sounds, my personal one is Amy_Puchini. If you like the modeling and acting stuff, I don't.
You should follow her there too.
Pretty,
it's great.
I'm pretty funny, I'd like to say. So I am there if you want to just some unhinged me. Yeah, those are probably the best places to find me. But otherwise, I have newsletters. You can always, and a website if you ever want to like just like.
What's your website?
Look at that. ampedupcoaching.weebly.com because I've not bought the domain name yet. So that's in there. But if you find the Instagram, the website is attached to it in the bio and stuff. So it's easy to find. So
all right, awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on. That was a ton of fun.
Thanks for having me. I could have done this all night. I didn't realize what time it was.
I was ready to keep going, and I was like, ah, shit.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I have an hour drive home. Whoops.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, again, thanks so much. And we'll have to have you on back again.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Bone Apple Tea. If you like the show, please give us a follow, like, comment, subscribe, whatever it is. Tell your friends about it. And make sure to follow us on Instagram. That's Bone Apple TV, BoneAppleTeav on Instagram. Thanks so much.